Okay, thank you. Good evening. Today we will deal with the topic consonants. In the last class, we dealt with vowels, right? We talked about pure vowels and diphthongs, right? So we learned that there are 12 pure vowels in English and 8 diphthongs. And we saw how they are labeled using the 3-term label. Now we pass on to the other set of sounds in English. So we talked about English sounds. We spoke about how English sounds are classified into vowels and consonants. So we had a brief study about vowels and we learned that vowels are all voiced sounds. So voiced sounds are those sounds wherein when the lung air passes into the larynx, the vocal cords are held close together and the glottis is not completely closed. So the vocal cords will vibrate when the air passes from the larynx into the mouth or into the nasal cavity. So those are voice sounds. Now when we come to consonants, we understand that consonants can be both voiced as well as voiceless. Voiceless sounds are those sounds which are produced when the lung air passes through the vocal cords and the glottis is open, or the vocal cords are held apart and there is no vibration of the vocal cord. So voiceless sounds are produced. So consonants can be divided into both voiced sounds as well as voiceless sounds. And we also learned about oral sounds and nasal sounds depending on whether the soft palate is lowered or raised, right? So when it is raised, what happens is the nasal cavity is closed and the air escapes through the mouth and oral sounds are produced. When the soft palate is lowered, the oral cavity is closed and the lung air escapes through the nasal cavity. So we understand that when consonants can be both voiced as well as voiceless and voiceless. And consonants can be also described using the 3-term label. Now here the 3-term label will be a little different. It would be based on on the nature or the state of the glottis, whether the glottis is open or closed. So based on the state of the glottis, we have voiced sounds or voiceless sound. Now another manner of describing consonants would be based on the place of articulation. And the third one would be the manner of articulation. How are the consonants articulated? Do you have the articulators brought close together, then suddenly released, or is there a partial opening? So, it is the manner in which the consonants are articulated. So, based on the state of the glottis, we have voiced sounds and voiceless sounds. Vowels are all voiced sounds, whereas consonants can be both voiced as well as voiceless. So, based on the state of the glottis, whether the glottis is open or closed, we have voiced and voiceless sound. So, and the next one that I was talking is about the place of articulation. Now, based on the place of organs that are used for articulation, we can divide vowels into 9 categories. We talk about labial. I'll just tell you what they are: labial, bilabial, dental, okay, labial, bilabial, dental, alveolar, post-alveolar, 5, paleto-alveolar, palatal, velaric, glottal, right? So you have 9 divisions based on the place of articulation: labial, bilabial, dental, alveolar, post-alveolar, paleto-alveolar, palatal, velaric, glottal, right? So 9. So we have 9 divisions. So today we're just going to deal with these 9 divisions. So how do you classify consonants based on the place of articulation? Always remember, first description is based on the state of the glottis, right? So based on the glottis, you have voiced sounds or voiceless sound. And we talked about the place of articulation. Place of articulation is the organs that are used, the various organs that play a very important role in the production of sounds, in the production of consonants. And then we talked about manner of articulation. Manner of articulation depends on the stricture, right? So it depends on the stricture, that is, how does the air come out from the lungs, whether it is free or restricted, right? So when we talked about vowels, what did we talk about the stricture? We talked about the stricture of open approximation. That means there is enough space for the air to escape freely and continuously without any friction. So vowels are articulated with a stricture of open approximation. That means there is enough space between the active articulator and the passive articulator for the air to escape freely and continuously without any friction. So when we come to consonants also, we talk about the stricture. Now, based on the stricture, you can divide consonants into plosives, affricates, nasals, laterals, we call something called frictionless continuance, semi-vowels or approximants, we can call them approximants. We have 7 categories, right? So we talk about plosives, fricatives, affricates, nasals, laterals, friction continuance, and approximants or semi-vowels. So that is based on the stricture. You have 7 divisions. Now today we are not going to look at that. We're just going to look at the place of articulation. Place of articulation refers to the important organs that play a role while you produce different sounds, right? So that is clear to you. They can be both voiced as well as voiceless. They can be both oral as well as nasal. And you can also define or describe consonants using a 3-term label, right? So the state of the glottis would determine whether the consonants are voiced or voiceless. Based on the place of articulation, you can divide consonants into 9 types. We talked about labial, bilabial, dental, alveolar, post-alveolar, paleto-alveolar, palatal, velaric, glottal. Based on the manner of articulation or the stricture that is used, stricture refers to the way the air comes out, whether it is free or whether it is restricted. Now, based on the stricture, you can define or you can describe consonants as plosives, fricatives, affricates, nasals, laterals, frictionless continuance, 7th one, semi-vowels or approximants. So why do you think I'm repeating these words again and again? It's not to bore you, but you need to get this, you know, it has to be stuck in your memory. That is why I keep on repeating them. So once you listen to them over and over again, you will get a hang of it, because these terms have to be learned. There is no way you can beat around the bush. When you write answers, somebody asks you, how do you define consonants based on the place of articulation? You have to write all those. You cannot write an answer like the way you write an answer based on Charles Lamb or based on William Hazlitt, or even, you know, the short stories that you're learning or the poetry that you've learned. That you can write something. If you know the concept, you can write. But here, you need to know the concept. You cannot beat around the bush. So these terms have to be correct. Because if these terms are not correct, no marks. If these terms are correct, full marks. That's how linguistics operates, right? So now we're going to talk about how do you divide consonants based on the place of articulation. So first I said labial. Now labium it means lip, right? It means lip. In Latin it means lip. So there are certain consonants which would just require the help of both the lips for their articulation. Now there are 4 labial sounds in English. Labial, L-A-B-I-A-L, labial. You have P, right? You have B, you have M, and W. So P as in pen, P as in pin, P as in tap, right? Then you have B, B as in ball, B as in beat. B as in rub, right? Then you have m. M as in man. M as in master. M as in time, right? Then you have w. W. W as in watch. W as in wait. W as in weather. See, this is how you articulate the labial sounds in English. So both the lips. That's why it's called labial. P, B, M, W. Now from the lips, what's next? It's the teeth, right? Just behind the lips, it's the teeth. So you have labiodental. So in the production of labiodental sounds, your lower lip is the active articulator and the upper teeth is the passive articulator. So what will happen is you will have to bite your lower lip with your upper teeth. So when you say P, when you say V, right? So both these sounds, F and V, are labiodental sounds. So F as in fan, F as in front, F as in tough, right? T-O-U-G-H. The pronunciation is F, tough, right? Then you have V, V as in van, V as in travel, right? V as in vehicle. Now, V as in wine, V-I-N-E, wine. W-I-N-E is wine. That's V, right? V. And the other one is B, right? B. So you have V as in wine and V as in wine. Now both are both these words are different. You know, they are different in meaning. Like wine is the juice of the fruit that grows on the vine. So grapes grow on the vine. You say the grape wine. And from that wine you pick or you pluck the grapes and you make the drink. It's called the wine, grape wine, right? So V and B. That is, V is labial, B is labiodental sound. Now from the lips to the teeth, now you have the teeth, dental sounds. Dental sounds. Now I'll show you the transcription of these sounds once I finish giving you the pronunciation, because you need to listen to the sounds first, then we'll learn how to write them. And that's how we go always, right? Listening, speaking, reading, writing. So we learn to listen to these sounds. So you have the dental sounds. So in the production of the dental sounds, you have the tip of the tongue touching the upper row of your teeth, right? See, this is how it is. Th and the. Now, these are two sounds which you don't have equivalent letters. Now, just forget about the 26 letters. We are going to forget it. We're going to erase all that we have learned in our school and all these years. Now, we're not going to talk about letters. We're just going to look at sounds. Now, th as in thank you. Th as in earth. Th as in think, right? Then you have the as in this. Now, when you write this, THIS. When you write thank you, it's again THANK, A-N-K, right? So TH, you always think TH are the letters that stand. So, okay, forget about the letters. There is a different way in which you transcribe these sounds. I'll teach you the transcription. How do you write th and the? But first, let's learn how to pronounce them. Th as in thank you. Th as in thick. Th as in think. Th as in earth. Th as in north, right? And you have the as in this, the as in brother, the as in rhythm, right? Rhythm. Then you have the as in bathe, her as in bath, right? Bath. You say bath and you also say bathe. I went to take a bath. I was bathing when the phone rang. So, her and the. Now, these are two sounds which we usually do not pronounce, because we have the interference of the mother tongue. So, the sound, it's a different type. We've not maybe learnt it earlier, but the is there in mother tongue, in our mother tongue, or maybe in the Indian language. The is very common to us, but the we'll need to learn. So, I'll teach you how to write the. Then, from the dental, you move to the alveolar sounds. I talked about the alveolar ridge, right? Just behind your upper teeth, the convex part, the convex bony structure. So, alveolar sounds are produced with the help of the alveolum or the teeth ridge. And what happens is, the tip of the tongue will touch the alveolar ridge. So, there are 6 alveolar sounds in English. You have t, t as in tap, t as in tin. Then you have d, d, d as in dog, d as in drum. Then you have s, s as in sun, s as in sick. Then you have z, z, z as in zebra. Then you have l, l as in light, l as in lantern, l as in lamb, etc. Then you have n, n as in nest, n as in narrow, etc. So you have 6 alveolar sounds. So for the production of alveolar sounds, you need the help of the alveolum or the alveolar ridge, right? So the tip of the tongue will touch the alveolar ridge and the alveolar sounds are produced. So what you have? You have 6 alveolar sounds. You have t, d, s, z, l, n, right? From the alveolar to the post-alveolar, right? Post-alveolar is the back of the alveolar ridge and the tongue will touch the back of the tip of the tongue will touch the back of the alveolar ridge, and there is only one post-alveolar sound in English, and that one post-alveolar sound in English is r. R as in receive, r as in red, r as in right. See, W-R-I-T-E is pronounced right. So when you write, you'll have to write it as r, I, t, right? I is the diphthong that we learn, right? So right, W is silent there. So that is a post-alveolar sound. From the post-alveolar sound, we move to the palato-alveolar sounds. Now, in the production of palato-alveolar sounds, the front part of the tongue, that is including the tip and the blade, is raised towards the hard palate, right? The alveolum is also involved. So the front of the tongue, that is the tip and the blade, they are raised towards the hard palate and the alveolum is also involved there. That's why they are called palato-alveolar sounds. There are 4 palato-alveolar sounds in English. Not very familiar to you. We don't have a letter for that. You have sh. Sh as in ship. Sh as in shine. Sh as in trash. Right? Sh as in sugar. Then you have j. J as in vision. J as in pleasure. You don't say pleasure. You say pleasure. J as in measure. Right? That's sure. I'll teach you how to write these scripts. Don't worry. First we listen and then we learn how to write. Then you have ch. Ch as in church. Ch as in chin. Ch as in chime. C-H-I-M-E. Right? Ch as in touch. Ch. Then you have j. J as in judge. J as in jug. J as in jam, right? So this is j. So you have sh, j, ch, j. All these 4 sounds are palato-alveolar sounds. From that we move to the hard palate. Sounds that are produced are called palatal sounds. So in the production of the palatal sound, the front portion of the tongue is raised towards the roof of the mouth or the hard palate. And there's only one palatal sound in English, which is y. Y. Y as in yellow. Y as in university. Now, y. That's why university is written as a university. Why? Because the pronunciation is, it starts with year, but when we write the spelling, we write UNI. So we've learned in school that A-I-O-U and U is a vowel. So we write an university. It's not an university, it's a university, because the pronunciation is year, and year is a consonant. It's not a vowel sound, right? So that is why we write a university, because we always look at the sound and not at the letter, right? We have to look at the sound. Forget about letters. So we have year, year as in university, year as in yellow, year as in yet, and so on. Then from the palatal, we move to the velaric sound. Now the velaric sounds involve the velum or the soft palate. So what happens is the back of the tongue is raised towards the soft palate, and soft palate is also called the velum. And there are three velaric sounds in English. You have k as in king, g as in gate, and ng. Ng is a new sound for you, maybe. Ng as in sing, ring, right? Ng. So you have k, g, ng. And from the velaric, we move to the glottal. Now the glottal sounds, as the name suggests, are produced in the glottis. There is, what is a glottis? It's a space between the two vocal cords, right? And there's only one glottal sound in English, that is h. So 24 consonants. I spoke about 24 consonants, like initially. English sounds English has 44 sounds. You have 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds. So these are the 24 consonant sounds described based on the place of articulation. Now you have manner of articulation, right? The structure. So based on that, you'll get another term, and that's how you describe the consonant. For example, you have p. P. When I ask you to describe p for your exam, you have to write p, voiceless, bilabial, plosive, because p is a plosive. Now, when you learn the manner of articulation, you will learn about these sounds. They have different names there. Like, for example, p is a bilabial sound based on the place of articulation. But based on the manner of articulation, p is a plosive. So when you define p, and p is a voiceless sound. So when you define p, you will have to define it as voiceless, bilabial, plosive. Right? So we will learn. Once we kind of keep on learning it, it won't be much difficult for you. So you will kind of get to know it better. Right? So we'll just recap what we have learned today. So I talked about the consonants. Consonants are those sounds in English wherein, which can be defined, which are both voiced, voiceless, which are both oral and nasal, and which can be again defined or described using a 3-term label. So based on the state of the glottis, they are divided into voiced and voiceless sounds. Based on the place of articulation, which means the organs that are used, they are divided into 9 different types. And based on the manner of articulation or the structure involved, they are defined as 7 different kinds. So today we just looked at the consonants defined based on the place of articulation. So based on the place of articulation, they are defined as labial. The labial sounds in English are p, b, m, w. P as in pin, b as in bed, m as in mat, w as in window. Labiodental, the lower lip and the upper teeth. You'll have to bite your lower lip with your upper teeth. You have f and w. F as in fan, w as in van. From the labiodental, we move to the dental. So there are 2 dental sounds in English, wherein the tip of the tongue will touch the upper teeth, right? So it is th as in thank you and the as in this. Then you have alveolar sounds, where the tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge, or the portion just behind the upper teeth, right? The alveolar ridge. So you have t as in tin, d as in dog, s as in sun, z as in zip, l as in love, n as in nest. Then you have the post-alveolar sound, wherein tip of the tongue touches the portion just behind the alveolar. That's what's called post. And you have just one post alveolar sound in English. It's called R. And R as in reticent, R as in receive, and so on. Then you have the palato alveolar sounds, wherein the front portion of the tongue, that is the tip as well as the blade, is raised towards the hard palate and also the alveolum. So the alveolum is also involved. You have four you have four palato alveolar sounds in English. You have sh as in sugar, r as in mission, so not mission, sh as in vision, sh as in mission, j as in vision, ch as in chin, j as in jump, right? Then you have the palatal sound. There's only one palatal sound wherein the front portion of the tongue is raised towards the hard palate. There's only one palatal sound in English. It's y. Y as in yesterday. Y as in yawn, right? Then you have the velaric sound wherein the tongue is towards the soft palate. We have three velaric sounds and they are k as in king, g as in gun, ng as in ring, right? And then you have the glottal sound which is produced in the glottis. The glottis is the space between the two vocal cords. There's only one glottal sound in English and it is right? So this is how we define the 24 consonants based on the place of articulation. Now we will later learn consonants defined based on the manner of articulation, right? So today we have just looked at the consonants defined based on the place of articulation. I hope this is clear to you. If you have any questions, you can ask me right now.